Hello, welcome to our live stream. Happy July the 4th to our American viewers. Sorry this has been a little bit of a delayed stream coming to you. We've had some technical issues, to say the least. Several exploded computers and all sorts of crazy stuff going on. However, we're here now, and we've got some amazing stuff for you coming up tonight, or today, wherever you are. In a moment, we're going to have an interview with Danny, who is going to be talking about the new web services and websites that we've got coming up. Launch very soon. We've got lots of trailers of new games for you. We've got information about the Steam Summer Sale. First look at Build 296. We've also got an array deep dive, which is finally working. And we're going to have a look also about using arrays with an actual application, making a PacMan level engine to draw the levels out from an array, which I think a lot of people will find very useful. So there's a lot of other cool stuff coming up, including the AMA. We have an astonishing 6 pages of questions, include a load of stuff about Fusion 3, which I wasn't sure we were going to be able to answer, but we've got some really cool deets there for you. So I'm going to switch over now, though, and we're going to speak to Danny. Bear with me. Hello. Welcome, Danny. This is Danny. He's our web developer at the moment, and he's coming to you. We've had a bit of a technical glitch, so we were hoping to show you the actual live sites demoed live, but we've been unable to due to a server issue, our data center. So we are instead going to show you some slides, and Danny's going to talk them through. So I'm just putting up slide 1 now for you there. Go for it, Danny. They're the order you sent them to me in Discord, if that's any help. Okay.
So basically, obviously, Clickteam is a 30-year-old company now, starting way back in the 90s. And obviously, since then, back in the HTML days, when we just had the static websites and the plain services, things have come a long way since then, 2025. And what's happened is, as you know yourself, Simon, is over them years, Clickteam's been building new services, web services, forums, ticket systems, all that kind of jazz. And obviously, it's kind of all just been clumped on to the existing web services that we have. So you have different logins and different sites that you've got to go to and stuff like that. So the initiative here is, my initiative anyway was to say, let's have one central login system, one central core website, and then we have all the services attached to that one central core. So now from this year onwards, there won't be any more. You have to go to ticketsupport.clickteam.com or whatever it is and sign up for an account and whatever. What's going to happen when this goes live is everyone signs up for an account, a new account. I'll explain why it'll be a new account later on, but everyone signs up for a new account. And then you will be able to access all the existing services from Clickteam and all the future services. There's no more signing up for different websites and different services and all this. It's just one login straight across the board.
And that's using the passport concept we've already got just taken to a new level, yes?
Yeah, I've kept the passport concept and I've taken it to a whole new level. So the passport is the core of all the services going forward that Clickteam will provide. So what happens with this system is because it's one central database, all the websites and all the services, they all talk to each other, and it all happens at the core, which is the passport system. And the passport system is where the account information is held, purchases, serial keys, license keys, everything. So all the not the mini sites, but all the sub services all talk to the passport, and that grants authorization for particular websites and access rights, downloads, everything else, basically straight across the board.
Awesome. That's really cool.
So yeah, so this slide that we're looking at right now, so this is one of the sites, which is the documentation website. So we've already imported the Fusion 2.5 documentation over, and all the exporter stuff as well. I think Multimedia Fusion 2 stuff's in there for legacy reasons. So I've redesigned the way the documentation system works, and this slide that you're looking at here. So what happens is, can you see your slides in front of you there, Si? Or is it
I've
quick
got
to
them all
navigate?
queued up. Yeah, I can change to each one individually.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fine. So what I've done is there should be a slide on there where you should see a help document, and I think it's the basics of Clickteam Fusion 2.5, which is taken from
Yeah, that
the
one's up now.
Oh, brilliant! Right. So this is how the documentation system looks at the minute. It's still subject to a couple of design changes. There's a bit of polish to go on towards the end, but for now, this is how it looks. So I'm just waiting for it to load on my end. It'll come through in a few seconds. So what happens here is we've kept the original Clickteam blue theme. We're going to stick with that, but we've transitioned away from the white stuff now, because obviously it's all about the dark themed for websites and services. And to be fair, it looks pretty cool on the redesign, and everything's nice and dark colours, and the contrast with the white stands out really well with the blues. I'm still waiting for it to load on my side.
We're seeing the basics page now with the text talking about the different objects and properties and what have you in Fusion.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me just get up. Oh no, that's fine. Let's see if I can just switch out of this. Am I still on the feed? All right.
So again,
Can you still see me on the video feed?
we can indeed, yes.
Oh, brilliant. I'm just going to get the gallery up at my side, then I know which slide I'm looking at. It's going to be a lot quicker and easier
Sure.
to do that.
This is the joy of live streaming, folks. We've been rushing to get this together due to last minute things all going a little bit interesting. I think the heat wave in the UK has just fried everything. It's all gone mad, but we're here. We'll manage.
Well, it doesn't help the fact that we're always cursed. No matter what we do, we're always cursed.
Well, 4 computers and a server all blown up in 1 month amongst all the staff has been a bit of an interesting one to work around, but we're here. We're up. We're running. It's all good.
It's incredible behaviour, isn't it?
If you want to open your Discords where you sent me the slides, I've put them up in order that you sent them to me there, so you could probably find it that way a bit easier.
Yep, I've got them. Right, okay. So yeah, so this is how the this is how documentation is presented now. I've got a couple of cool things to show you on this, but you'll notice in the top left-hand corner there's a button now, and which is called Go to STEM, and I'll get to that in a second. But just below it is the Browse the Docs. So basically, for each documentation product, you've got the table of contents, which will always be presented on the left. And then if you look in the top right-hand corner, it'll tell you which products are required for that specific documentation as well, and which products it applies to. So if you can just go back to that last slide, Si, the first one you had up.
Sure thing. Yep, it's up now.
So when you click on Go to STEM, so what the STEM system is, this is a little concept that I had when I was designing the documentation site, and I thought, you know what, sometimes when you go to documentation websites for different companies and whatever, and Clickteam included as well, sometimes information can get really scatty, and then there might be something in the documentation, which, by the way, Fusion 2.5 up to now only has the documentation locally on the computer. So if you go through the documentation and you're following something and you think, well, this doesn't work, or it doesn't work the way I want it to, then usually people go over to the forums or Discord to start a conversation about that topic, and then information can get lost. So I thought, how can we have one central hub for documentation, but also follow-ups? And that's where I came up with the STEM idea. So what happens with the STEM idea is you can read through a piece of documentation, and if something's not clear to you, rather than you go to the forums or go to Discord and start a conversation about it, you could just go to the STEM for that document piece. And what happens there is it's like a little conversation, as you can see on the slide. You can write in a question, and then someone else can reply to that question. So it's like a mini forum, if you will, but it's all integrated with the documentation system, and the STEM page is specifically for each article that's on there. So it's going to be very useful, not just for Fusion 2.5 and the exporters, but obviously going forward for future products like Fusion 3. There's going to be a wealth of information on there. So I just thought it was a really good idea that if you're on an article piece for the documentation and something just doesn't add up for you, it doesn't make sense or it doesn't work, at least you can jump quickly to the STEM section and see if somebody's already asked the question and got an answer. And it's just a quicker way for people to get answers to the questions they may
Sure.
need.
Okay, which slide would you like now?
I'm just going through them now. So can you see the one with the syntax test?
Let me go to that now for you. There we go. Yep, that's up.
So I've created this little module as well inside the actual documentation system. So for current documentation, we've not really converted much yet, but we will be doing. And in the future, I've created a syntax capture. So what it is as we're writing documentation now and in the future for future products, we can actually put in some pseudocode for the products like Fusion 2.5. And as you can see, it just presents a lot easier to the user, because sometimes when you're trying to explain something in a documentation article, no matter how you format it with bold italics and colors and blah blah blah, it just doesn't stand out right. But at least this way it does stand out right now, because it looks like a bit of markup. It's actually a lot more useful for users.
Yeah, and it definitely sort of matches with what you're doing in the software, so that you're not jumping from flat text into the software and thinking, oh, well, how does that relate? It's really nice to see it looking more like the software. It's a good job.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It didn't even take me long to code that up, to be fair. Not in the grand scheme of things, anyway.
Would you like to go to the support forums, slide 4 now? Yep.
So the forums, the structure of the forum, I've tried to copy verbatim from the current forums that we've got, the current forum system. So it's all pretty much laid out, the exact same. But obviously, it looks a lot cooler. It works a lot cooler. With the dedicated servers that we're using, I've optimized them so tight. We're using high-level caching. Multiple levels of caching as well. So all the services are just absolute quick fire rapid, because speed is important. As you know yourself, Simon, speed is important, not just for new users, but for existing user base as well. If you want to get that information, you don't want to be clicking on a site and it's taking 35 seconds to load a page up. It needs to be rapid fire. And currently that's how it works. I mean, we're going to be hard launching this thing, so it's going to be quite interesting when it gets to the time of launch. But
baptism of fire, huh?
Yeah. After this last week, it's I don't know where I've got that confidence from, but it's going to be all right.
We'll get there. It'll all be good. Surely nothing else can blow up or go wrong now, huh? I've done it now. God, what am I doing? What am I saying? Right, I'm going to switch to the hell slide now.
Yep, so this is the new showcase website. So this is where people can showcase the games and apps that they've made with Clickteam products. And as you can see, it's presented in a much sweeter fashion using the dark theme that I've developed, which is the WebKit. And it's all automated again, pretty much. So, if you've completed a game with Fusion, you've released it on the Android market, on Humble Bundle, wherever it is that you can just quickly go to the application form, fill it out, put your links in, upload your artwork, your YouTube trailer, Vimeo trailer, whatever kind of trailer you've got, and it gets sent through to us here at Clickteam. All we do is quickly review it just to make sure that it's okay to publish. We click publish, and the job's done. You can link to your website. You can link to, if you've got a publisher, you can link to their website. And it just looks a lot cooler as well. It's and we've already populated this as well, so it's full of a lot of games that have been developed for Fusion 2.5 already.
And these are tied to individual users' accounts, these ones?
They are, yeah.
So maybe we could look at hooking up our Discord bot to bring these into the showcase there as well at some point in the future. That would be quite nice.
100%. I mean, that's the beauty about this new Clickteam network, is because I've developed it from the ground up, literally from the ground up. We can do anything that we want. Nothing's. We don't have to rely on any third-party plugins. We don't have to rely on any third-party developers.
Yeah.
It's our infrastructure built from the ground up, so we can do anything, whether it's now or in the future.
Sure. And you were telling me you'd written an API to allow us to sort of talk to our websites and build much more interactive and dynamic services, both for the actual online side, but eventually to tie into Fusion 3, and so that things will be much more integrated there as well.
100%. I mean, the API system that I developed is, again, because I developed it from the ground up, we could do whatever we want. The world's our oyster. So what this means is, and again, this is the passport. It all really is down to the passport system. Is we'll be able to bring in new features to future products like Fusion 3. So, for example, you would launch Fusion 3, and you would be able to log into your Clickteam account inside the actual software. And what that enables you to do is it enables you to browse downloads that you may have bought from the store, like MFAs or shaders and all that kind of stuff. Download it straight into Fusion, and it'll handle all the installs and everything else. So funky stuff like that.
Very cool. Right, I'm going to switch over now to the next slide, showing the tickets.
Yep, so a ticket system as well, all integrated. You can just log in with the one Clickteam account that you've got. So you jump straight over. If you've got a problem that you need Clickteam to deal with, you can just open a ticket up, and there's different staff will be allocated to different departments. Like, for example, Fernando will mostly deal with the Android stuff. So you would jump onto the ticket system, put in what your problem is, attach an MFA, attach some images, videos, whatever it is you think will help, Clickteam figure out, what the issue is, so you can get the support faster. And then there's follow-ups as well. So again, I've designed it in a way where it looks pretty cool. And that's another thing as well. So if you look at the where the conversation is in the responses, the avatar to the left there, that's your own avatar. So in with the account system, once you create a Clickteam account, you can upload your own avatar, and that will display throughout the entire network of websites, whether it's the forum, the ticket support system, anywhere. So you can upload your own avatar just the one time. You can change it anytime you want. It will reflect throughout the network. But yeah, so little things like the ticket system, you can submit a rating. Stuff like this enables us to do analytics for the future as well. So so we can have team meetings here at Clickteam, every 3 to 6 months or whatever, and go, okay, let's take a look at the support. How's that going, and how are people rating the support that we're getting? It just enables us to, refine certain areas where we may need to in the future. You're
getting some good comments on the chat feed here, including Fusion RTX on. Love it.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to switch to the next slide, showing dashboard for you now. That's again part of the ticket system, is it? Oh no, it's lots of things.
Where we're looking? Oh, the dashboard. Yeah. Sorry, that's the ticket dashboard. I should have took a screenshot of the account dashboard, because that's really cool. But yeah, so that's just dashboard for the ticket system. As you can see, you can log in, see what tickets you've got. You can create a new ticket. You can even check and search documentation from this section as well, because maybe the solution to your problem is already in the documentation section or in one of the stems. So you can do a quick active search on that. But if not, you can always push a ticket through.
Sure. Very cool. And do you want to go to the next slide now?
Yep.
This is the one showing the shop and Fusion 2.5 developer.
Yeah, so this is what the new store is going to look like. A lot more defined, and a lot more. What's the word? Less is more sometimes.
Hmm.
You know, and everything's there. So what's going to happen now going forward as well is the Click Store. The current we have the current Click Store, and then we have the Clickteam web shop. The Clickteam web shop is where all the Clickteam products are sold, and then you've got the Click Store, as you know, where the third-party assets are developed and sold. I've now merged all that, so it's just one store now. So it's just called the Click Store, and that's where you get your Clickteam products and third party. So if you're a shader developer, you know, all them people that submitted all the products to the Click Store, you'll be able to upload your products to this store again, same login, no different login, and you'll be able to sell your own assets on the official Click Store as well. This is the general template layout, as you can see. It's just nice and compact. We've got system requirements, we've got refund policies accessible easily. So the way the pricing is going to work is a little bit different to the norm, because it's very hard to, as you know yourself, Simon, it's very difficult when you're trying to cater for a worldwide audience, especially when it comes to different currencies and all that kind of jazz. So what happens is there's two ways I've done it. You're either covered by the USA, which is the US, Canada, and I think it covers South America as well. If you're in any of them two continents, North or South America, basically, you will see everything in dollar form for the pricing. If you're anywhere else in the world, then what will happen is whatever country you're in, it will give you an approximation as to how much the product will cost in your area, if that makes sense. Did that make any sense? Yeah, and it does say that it is an approximation, but it will, from the tests that I've done, usually at most it's a few pennies out either way, but it is an approximation.
Sure.
So at least people now, no matter where they are, if you're going to pay in euro, British pounds, you know, or anything else, at least you can get a good solid overview of what the price is going to be. So just trying to make everything as easy as possible for the customer, for new and existing customers. But the template that you see here for the web shop is the same template you'll see for the ClickStore product. You've got the seller name down there, the date it was published, the product ID, and the category that it's in. You can share the products as well on WhatsApp and Facebook and all the rest of it. But just nice and neat and straight to the point.
And we're also going to be, like Steam do, they've got a dynamic pricing model. And so we're going to be not just stuck on the one pricing going forwards. We're going to look at the levels in different countries. Is that right?
Up to now, we are, so the way we're going to work it, at least for the initial launch, will be it will be static exchange for the initial launch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go off the current, it's probably the current xe.com exchange rate, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Steam prices in various ways and different sales and different territories and stuff. So maybe that's something we can discuss a little more if you don't have an immediate answer. Not to worry. I just
don't want to leave the information out, so yeah, we'll cover that topic for next time.
Shall I move to the next slide? Danny's shop.
Yep. So this is what your third-party seller shops will now look like. So if you've been selling stuff on the Click Store and you're going to sign up to the new Click Store to upload your products, this is how your store will be presented. So it'll be like your own little cool corner of the Click Store. You can upload your own avatar for it. You'll have seller rating as well, and that's an average based against all your products combined. And then there's a contact button there where your customers can get in touch with you. So what you can do is, if you are a seller on the store, you can log in to the shop admin section and specify an email address that customers can contact you directly to. So we're not going to expose your Clickteam account email address, because it just wouldn't even make sense to do that. But you can stipulate your own seller email address that people can then get in touch with you regarding your products. And that's typically the template at the minute. Again, there's some polish left to do. This is not the final product, but it's generally how it looks.
Sure. Shall we move to the next slide? It looks like the main website page there.
Yep. So I'm just going to show you this because this is kind of the theme that we're going for right across the board. If you look at the header of this website, it's a global WebKit that I've developed. So everything looks uniform. No matter what website you're on, we will still have the same header across all the websites. And each individual website, apart from the main one, will have a sub-menu, because obviously we need a sub-menu for whatever. So if you're on the ticket system, for example, underneath that menu bar at the top, you'll have a sub-menu where you can, which is specific for that site, and so you can navigate.
Yeah.
That site. But yeah, this is kind of how it looks now. Brought all the websites up to speed. We're using some flashy effects. It just making everything modern because it's 2025, and Clickteam mean business, especially this year and going forward.
Absolutely, we're on it. I know we've perhaps looked quiet over the last couple of months or year, but there's been a lot going on. We're going to talk a bit more about some of that later as well. I'm going to go now to the next slide, which it's just the navigation menu showing up with the rest of the site faded down. Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to. This might look really small, but this is probably the biggest thing I could show you today. Is if you look to the navigation menu on the left, that is the entire network contained right there, and all of them different things are not just one website. They're all on. So if you look at, for example, you've got the community forums down there. You've got the store stuff, and you've got the passport itself. So once you're logged into the Clickteam network, no matter what website you're on, you can quickly pull up this sidebar, and it enables you to quickly get to different sites on the network really fast. So if you want to go to your account details, you just press the little hamburger. You can click on that. If you want to change your avatar, it takes you 2 seconds. If you want to go to your order history, it takes you 2 seconds. Rather than navigate to all these different websites and having too many clicks. Nobody wants to be clicking. Payment methods, you can update payment methods, addresses, anything. You can browse clicks, you can access the bug box, the ticket support. But yeah, so it's very important because the passport system, if you notice the group of items under the passport system, you can see how they're all linked together. So when you go to the store, if you purchase, say, Fusion 2.5 developer, along with the 2.5 plus, what do we call it, add-on?
DLC.
Then what's going to happen is as soon as you make a purchase on the Click Store, whether it's a Clickteam product or a third-party asset, it all gets stored in the passport. So everything is just interlinked and everything is stored in the passport. So we can pull that information into any subsite, into the software, anything. So again, there's no more messing about now. You don't even have to go through your emails anymore to get your serials. You don't have to manually register them on the passport. It's all done automatically.
That's pretty cool. And I don't think we've got a screenshot of it, but I saw you mention bug box there, which you can see under the support section. So obviously we've not had our bug box working for quite a while. We've been relying on the ticket system. So you've differentiated that on this new system, yes?
Yep. And it's got the same theme as the ticket support. So I didn't really just screenshot it because it just pretty much looks similar to the ticket support, except it's got a couple of extra features which you would expect for bug reporting. But yeah, again, it's all no separate logins, just one-time login. Click on bug box, you can access it straight away.
Very cool. I think our final slide is showing search results for Freddy's.
Yeah, so again, this is the part of the showcase website. So once you've listed your game, it'll come up. So I just wanted to show off the design. I just wanted to show off, this is how cool it looks. If you type Freddy's in on the search bar, it comes up with these tiles, and when you hover over the tiles, they get bigger, and little couple of cool flashy effects. It's just that sweet little final touch for the design polish, really.
Yeah, it looks great, and we're getting a lot of positive comments in the chat feeds here. And Clickteam, you're my hero, which is a nice one. Yeah, lots of positivity. I'm not seeing any questions I can answer now. There was one back about software development. We will be getting to some Q&A about the upcoming Fusion 3, just to answer that one for you there. Cool. So I think that's pretty much it with the web stuff. So we'll just got a few minutes left. Anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a slog, but it's been really fun. You know, I've got so much experience in doing all this kind of stuff, and I just took the bull by the horns, literally, because, like you said yourself, Simon, it might seem like everything's quiet over at Clickteam, and it's definitely not, as you know yourself. You know, our own private Discord is off the charts every day, and there's a lot going on. And I just, you know, we all just felt that we needed to modernize the web services, because the web services is not only the forefront for sales, but it's also the backbone for customer support and customers to be able to access the downloads and purchases and stuff. And going forward, you know, we're going to have the Discord integration as well. So you can, once you've got a Clickteam account, you can then go to your account section and you can link your Discord account to your Clickteam account. So when you go into Discord, Discord will automatically liaise with the Passport API system that I developed, and automatically assign you the roles to the product. You don't need to do no verifications. You don't need to put no license or serial keys in anywhere. It's all done automatically, everything. So going forward, it's a great infrastructure, especially for Fusion 3, because it just blows the doors off the opportunities that you know, we can do.
Yeah, it's very flexible. It's been a long time coming. We've obviously been operating with a lot of different systems that sort of grew up organically and weren't tied together. So it's great. We've taken this sort of approach to, as you say, completely redo everything from the ground up. And yeah, it's going to be very, very cool. I think everyone's going to be very happy with how it works. Certainly what you've shown me looks amazing. So
it's really fantastic. So the other thing that I just want to squeeze in before we wrap up is, because it is a brand new infrastructure. Sorry, that's my fault. Because it's a brand new infrastructure, we've merged over, as you know yourself, the legacy system for previous orders, so that Clickteam can access previous orders. However, there's a couple of reasons why people are going to have to sign up for a new account. The first one is, as you know yourself, data protection. We can't just be merging stuff and migrating stuff over. Essentially, it's down to the user. So what's going to happen is, when these services go live, people are going to have to sign up, create a brand new Clickteam account, which is cool, because even people that miss this stream, or when it goes live, they might not come back to Clickteam for another 12 months, 24 months. It doesn't matter, because once you create your Clickteam account, you can then go to the Passport system and go, I bought Fusion 2.5 4 years ago. You put your serial number in and your email address that you purchased it with, and it'll automatically sync everything up. So nothing's going to get lost. You can register all your serial keys and everything from the legacy system. But when this goes live, everybody will have to sign up for a new account. But it's
and of course, you've built tools for us in the back end to help users who might have lost their serials as well. So the data's all still there, and if you can't remember, you'll be able to open a ticket and we'll be able to support you with that. So yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool. Really looking forward to it. And maybe if we're lucky, we might do a live launch, depending on how things go. But we will see. I'm not going to make you promise that one, because things go wrong and blow up, as we've found out in this last month.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of ETAs. I'm not a fan of ETAs.
So we've just got a few minutes left. I was just going to offer you the chance to plug your academy, which many people may not know about. So Danny runs ClickFusion Academy, and it's an amazing place where you can sign up and get tutorials and materials and help. And tell me a bit more. Yeah,
so I started the academy way back in, I think it was 2016, might be 2017, so still 8 years ago. Yeah, I started the Clickteam Academy off because back in the mid 10s, is that how you reference it? I was doing, obviously, as you know yourself, I was teaching Fusion quite a lot. mostly through Udemy. And then I was creating these courses and stuff, and I thought, you know, what's the point in keep doing separate courses on Udemy? I just built my own website. So I spent a good few months developing the ClickFusion Academy. It's just a one-time payment, and you've got access to the Academy for life. And inside there's, I can't even remember how many hours of video. I think there's 140 hours of video, lots of downloads, loads of tutorials, written and video tutorials as well. So there's a lot of content in the Academy. Yeah, so it's clickfusion.academy is the website.
Awesome. And can people check it out without paying and just have a look at what's there before they?
Yeah, there's some free content on there that you can you can browse and get a feel for what it's like.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I think we'll leave it there with that. If you've just joined us in the last moments, this has been a conversation with Danny, who's our web developer and is creating, or has created, most of a brand new website and online services system for Clickteam, which we will be launching as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Danny. It's been a pleasure, and I'll sign off there. Have a good one.
Thanks, Simon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
So that was first look at our new web services, which we're all really excited. Sorry, my microphone's causing a shadow there. We're really excited to bring to you, which will be very, very soon. Hopefully get Danny back on to do a live demonstration on an upcoming stream. Sorry, we're next Friday after next is our next one. Normally we're every third Friday of the month. Due to the various technical issues we've had, including the streaming computer blow up, we've been pushed back. So it's only 2 weeks until the next one. And in case anyone from the US is joining us just now, again, happy Independence Day. And I'm going to show you now a trailer for BoomGuy, which is available on our Patreon. So that's BoomGuy. You can find that on our Patreon. If you look for Reactor or Clickteam on Patreon, you'll find that there. And lots of other cool stuff. We have lots and lots of tutorials. We've also got a Fusion 3 blog there, which you can check out. There's lots of information. We'll update it probably at some point with some of these Q&A questions which have come in. For now, I'm going to show you the Steam sale trailer. We've got the Steam summer sale on at the moment. Also matching the discounts on our store. I think it's 50% off on all Clickteam products. So here's a look at the Steam sale. So the observant amongst you will notice that I've just put on the wrong trailer there. Apologies. That was actually a trailer for Clickteam Professional Services, which I was going to talk about anyway later. So we have a service which you might not know about, where we can help you to get your games published and ported to consoles like Xbox and Switch and so on. We have some dedicated software which we use to help port things over any extensions or anything that don't exist for console already. Our team work really hard to create those and make sure that your product really shines on whichever platform you choose to go for. We've got quite a few titles there, as you saw. If that's something that interests you, please do head over to our ticket desk. For the moment, until the new sites are up, it's service.clickteam.com, and you can open a ticket there and choose the professional services option and get in touch with us, and someone will be back to you to sort of discuss your needs and see what sort of things you might like us to do for you. So with that, I'm going to move to my next segment now, which is Chronicles of the Wolf. We're going to be interviewing Mig shortly. Before that, I'm just going to show you a trailer for Chronicles of the Wolf.
Oh my god, you're alive! Oh, the wolf attacked your group. They're all dead. Oh, we have to go. We're running out of time. Do you hear me?
The beast is the worst scourge that the region of Gévaudan has ever known. Its victims are many. The mission to kill the beast now fell solely to him, a mere apprentice.
You have trained hard for many years, and it is time to put your skills to use.
Don't be shy. Come closer.
Chronicles of the Wolf.
So that was the trailer for Chronicles of the Wolf. We've got Mig, the creator, on a live connection now. So hello, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Simon. Hello, everybody.
Thanks. I know it's quite late where you are, so we appreciate you coming on.
No problem.
So, how long have you been using Fusion?
Fusion, I started using Clickteam software with the Games Factory 27 years ago.
Me too, as it happens. Yeah, that's quite a long time. So you've seen everything evolve over quite a long time then.
Exactly. I also have a copy of Click and Play, 1994, but it's only for the collection.
That's probably belongs in a museum about now.
It's very hard to find that.
Yes. So obviously you started using those products. How did you actually first find Fusion? Well, the Clickteam software.
I found it on the shelves of a major computer store.
Okay.
In Paris, called Surcouf, as the famous privateer. Surcouf.
Okay. Yes, my brother actually bought his copy of the Games Factory from a similar shop here in the UK, so we have a similar story there.
Ah, great. Great.
So this is your second Metroidvania style title. What really interests you in this genre?
I've always loved adventure and exploration games where you gradually uncover the map using the items and skills you acquire. I'm not really a fan of open world systems where you can go almost anywhere right from the start. And I know many players appreciate Metroidvania games for the technical aspect of the combat.
Yeah.
But what interests me more is especially the mood and atmosphere of the places you visit.
Yeah, and the graphic style is very much in that very atmospheric sort of old school look. It really evokes the genre very well.
Yes, it's some gothic and eerie
Yes.
style.
So besides the Castlevania series, which games have inspired you as you've developed this game?
Of course, the main inspiration is obviously Castlevania,
Yeah.
especially Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest on NES, Belmont Revenge on Game Boy for the Rogue system, and Symphony of the Night on PlayStation. Another big influence is Resident Evil, particularly for the puzzle that involve inserting codes and moving statues, that kind of thing. And I also drew inspiration from game books from the 80s, like Crypt of the Vampire or House of Hell. And beyond that, there are very mixed cultural references that are completely random and with no real thematic consistency. For example, in the game, there is a reference to Misery, the movie based on Stephen King's novel.
Mm-hmm.
And there are cats that have names inspired by characters from the musical Cats. It's a mix of everything and anything.
That is an interesting mix.
Thank you.
So, can you share any of the tips or tricks that will be helpful to people who take on the challenge of the hunt of the legendary beast of Gévaudan? Is that correct?
Yes. No, I spell like that, yes. First of all, especially at the beginning of the game, do not forget to buy new equipments from the shops whenever it's possible. Try not to stick with the same weapon for too long.
Okay.
Also, be sure to talk to all non-player characters. They are not just there to tell their life stories. Many of them share useful and important information.
Okay.
Also, don't hesitate to use the charge attack, the one you perform by holding down the attack button.
Mm-hmm.
And also make good use of the special attack, which you execute by pressing up and special. It's very effective, and the mana which is consumed regenerated over time. The special attack for 100 sword deals 5x damage and can break through the high defense some enemies have. And one last tip, if a sign warns you about a round, or you enter somewhere that looks really eerie or suspicious, go back and save at the nearest statue before going any further.
Okay. Some good advice there.
Thanks.
So how did the addition of character from Bloodstained's Ritual of the Night come about then in this game?
This collaboration came about thanks to my partner, Jeff Montoya. He composed the melodies for Chronicle of the Wolf, and also took the initiative to reach out Koji Igarashi and Shooter Ueda from Artplay, who very kindly agreed to let us use the representation of one of their characters, Bloodlace, in Bloodstained. And also in our previous game, Valakia Reign of Dracula, Elsin, the main character, could wear the costume of Miriam in Bloodstained. That was also a collaboration.
That's very cool. You don't often have characters from different games actually making an appearance in other ones, so that was good they let you use that. It's a very cool feature. So can you tell me about any challenges you had making this game? What was the hardest thing you had to overcome?
The hardest thing was there were many things that were hard, but to draw the graphics and the animations, it was really the most hard, and also to make the level design, the maps and the things like that.
Okay. Thank you. And I suppose if you could add one feature to Fusion, perhaps to help you with your game development, something that Fusion did not do already, what would that feature be for you?
I would have really liked the ability to set several action points on active objects in the picture editor.
Okay.
This would be useful when you're using, for example, the shoot an object function.
Yeah.
Well, it would be great to
I'm-
choose the action spot.
I'm not sure if that's something we could add into Fusion 2.5, but definitely sounds like something Fusion 3 would be able to handle.
Oh, that will be great.
We will see. So, obviously, Chronicles the Wolf is out now, and you can get it on Steam and consoles, I believe.
Yes, Steam, Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation 4 and 5.
Brilliant. So, what's next for you now that this game is out and finished?
For the moment, nothing is decided yet, but perhaps a sequel of Chronicle of the Wolf.
Okay. Do you have ideas for that already?
They are coming.
They're coming. Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a fantastic game, and as you can see on the screen now, there's some really luscious graphics and very, very atmospheric. Brilliant gameplay. Make sure you check it out again on Steam and consoles. And with that, thank you very much for joining us so late where you are. Thank you, Mig.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Chronicles of the Wolf. Make sure you check it out on Steam and consoles. I'm going to show you a trailer next for Luxavia. That was Luxavia, a very short game and a very short trailer, but definitely cool and you should check it out. And just wanted to give a note about our Patreon that we have lots and lots of examples on there, and like 95% of it is open source, so you can take those and make your own games and adapt them. So make sure you do check us out on Patreon. I believe the link has been posted there, and I'm sure my colleague Chris Kizgiri will post that again for us. So next, I'm going to attempt to show you the Steam summer sale trailer. Bear with me because it isn't actually working yet. I might have a bit of a janky start here. Bear with me. There you go. So that was the Steam summer sale trailer there, and make sure you go and check out the discounts there, and also on the Clickteam website stores, shop.clickteam.com, and get yourself some bargains. Right, next we are going to have a look at the array object. I'm going to do a deep dive on this, something that a lot of people struggle with in Fusion and programming generally. It's a concept that seems to cause some confusion. So I'm hoping to really clarify what arrays are and show you how they can actually be used in a real world example. So later on, I'm going to adapt basic PacMan engine and use an array to actually render the level, which would mean that you could design levels, save them into files, and then load them in rather than having to lay out objects in frames for each level that you want to create. So bear with me, I'm just going to switch to my desktop here. Hopefully you can all see that. Gosh, that's quite large. Okay. I'm having some DPI issues again. Hopefully it won't interfere like last time. So the array is basically a store of information, and it is ordered in a set way so that you can always know where each individual piece of information is. So this is the array object in Fusion, and you've probably seen it, and a lot of people may not have used it. So I'm going to start by talking about one-dimensional arrays. Now, bear with me because it still sounds confusing, I know, but I'm going to explain here. So this is a list of numbers, as you can see here. These are actually an array of numbers. A lot of you have already been using arrays without realizing it. If you've used the list object at all, each line of those is essentially an entry in a one-dimensional array. And in arrays, you use the dimensions X and Y and Z. So for a one-dimensional array, we start with the X coordinates. So when we are writing information into the array, so if we wanted to save number 76 into position 1, we would say write 76 to X position 1. It's just that straightforward. And then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. You then have this set of data that you can read back from. So this could be anything from a list of items that a player is carrying, or progress that they've made in certain areas that you want to store. It could be a list of level items, like tiles that you want to place down, which I'll show you as we go on. So this is obviously only one short list of numbers here. I'm actually going to create a second copy now, which turns it into a two-dimensional array. So as you can see here, we've got now the same original numbers from the first one, but we also have 5 other copies, and those copies are in the Y index. So by using first the X position and then the Y position, we can refer to any of these numbers and retrieve them. So for example, this number here, 12, would be X4 and Y3. So we would say read from array at position X4 and Y3. And the same for any other position in the array. So as you can see, it's a really good way to store grids of information. Levels are a very good example of this. It allows you to build out files that you can save for each individual level, as I said, rather than having to create each level from scratch in a new frame. And that can be really, really advantageous if you take that sort of approach, because it enables you to have just the one frame with all of your code in and all of your mechanics for your objects and your players and so on, without having to then copy all of that code to individual frames for each level, so that if you have to make a change to the way it works in one, you don't have to keep copying it across to the number of frames that you have for each level. So two-dimensional arrays are very cool, but you can actually add a third dimension. So as you can see now, this is creating two copies there. Now I've got some buttons down here, which my screen isn't actually showing. It does say Z1 and 2 and 3. I can't quite move it up that high. So I'm just going to refer now to Z index 2. So as you can see, this is highlighting the second page of information. Now, these are all different values than those here in that first page, which this is where we started. Then we added the Y elements to it. But we can add whole extra copies of those X and Y coordinates. So you could, in fact, save levels all within the one array if you wanted to. Or you may have an array where Z index 1 stores information like the energy levels and weapons that a player has, and number 2 might store achievements that they've made in a level, or you might want to store the position of objects that have been created or destroyed by the player as they've gone through levels. Lots of possibility. I can also switch through to the third index here. This is Z index 3. So if we wanted to get this number here, we would say read value from array X1, Y1, and then Z3. And that allows you to choose from multiple pages of grids of information. It really is very, very straightforward, but it does seem confusing to a lot of people. It's a great way to program a lot of things. It's not suitable for everything, but it really is worth your while learning this. I'm actually going to show you how this would work now with the using it for level editor. So this is an image of the PacMan game, or ClickMan, sorry, because PacMan's copyrighted. So we're going to be working on this in a moment. This is looking at his list there. It's coming up in a little while. And so as you can see here, I've got the array as you lay it out in the frame editor. And I've got wall objects here. I've got dots. I've got pills. So I'm assigning a number to each of those. You could just as easily use a text-based array, and that would allow you to store actual descriptions. So you could actually store wall or dot or pill or anything you liked in there. I'm choosing to represent them with numbers in this example. So as you can see, we've got a row of wall objects there and a column of them there. And these are matched here with the number 1, which refers up here to the wall. So as you can see, the shape of the level is represented in these numbers here. 3 here is the pill, and that's shown this dot here. And then the number 2s represent the normal dots that ClickMan eats. And you can see some voids here where there are no numbers, and that represents this space. So arrays are a really, really good way to actually store your level data and to create engines that don't require multiple iterations of work to update each individual frame that you have a level on. It allows you to keep everything in one place. And it's also a good way to let people develop their own levels. So perhaps your game, you want people to be able to make their own puzzles like load runner style, and you could allow them a tool that create array files and upload them to a server perhaps, and then your game reads these and lets users interact with your game in that way. So there was one thing I meant to show you which I forgot there. Just going to restart this. So one thing that confuses a lot of people is the term zero-based or one-based. It's a very, very simple term. It just refers to what number these indexes start on. So these at the moment start at 1, so it's a 1-based array. If I were to change it to a 0-based array, as you can see there, it starts at 0 to 8, compared with 1 to 9 for a 1-based. And it's exactly the same for the Y indexes there. So that's the X and Y in a 1-based array and in a 0-based array. So 95 there in a 0-based array, you would read value from array at position X0 and Y0. And if it was a 1-based array, you would just simply use X1 and Y1. Because fast loops start at 0, they're a 0-based indexing system. It's often quite useful if you're processing the data in an array to have a 0-based array, so that you're not having to add 1 to the loop number each time. Just an extra saving step there. So that was the array deep dive there, and I'm going to now get to some demonstration of build 296.1. So bear with me while I load that up. Oh, 0.0 there. Okay, I'll just make sure you can actually see that. That's capturing quite large there. Hopefully you'll be able to see everything I'm doing. So we are going to have a look at a few things that Eve has suggested. There's a long build log which we can upload, change log, sorry, to show you what's been changed. One of the first ones, which a lot of people are going to love, is in the app properties. Now, bear in mind, I'm looking at a lot of this for the first time with you here. So we have here, and I'm not sure if you can see this, bear with me. No, I'm just going to restart Fusion with DPI scaling reduced. That might make it easier. Bear with me a second. No, not that one. Sorry, I'm doing this without my glasses on. I'm having a bit of trouble reading this small writing here. Is that any better? It is not. Okay, let me try if I can just scale that up there and hopefully be able to see there. Okay, that's better. So make sure I've opened the right version of Fusion here. I have. Right, so application properties. One of the first things here, which is going to help a lot of people, is the ability to set an effect folder. So this is a per application property, and allows you to create an override for the built-in effects folder. So occasionally you might want to make an alteration to a shader effect, and you don't want to change the original one that comes with Fusion or one of the packs like Ovine that you can download. So this folder lets you actually create a brand new set of shaders. So you need to copy every shader that you use into this folder. So once you create this override, it stops the original folder from being referenced. But very, very cool way to allow you to really improve your experience with effects there if you're overriding them. I'm going to have to load in an application here. Let's try this one. So I'm going to make the array deep dive presentation available in, for download there, so you can actually see all of the code behind my demo that I just showed you. I'm going to try building this now. So we have, I don't think there will be any problems building this one as it happens. Let's store that one there. Okay, so as you can see down here, the output window now, and this is a 2.5 plus feature. It's showing a lot of output on how things have built, whether there are any errors, and this is a really useful feature to stop you having to click on multiple things like font is not embeddable and can't find object or graphic or sound, that sort of thing. Before, it could be quite frustrating building an application or project, and this output gives you a report rather than having to constantly read pop-up boxes. So it's a very cool new feature there, but that is a 2.5 plus feature. So hop back to this one, and main menu, we now have a tile vertically option. Not sure where that one is, if I'm honest. Ah, there we go. And in preferences, this one, I when I was making the array object demonstration there, I had multiple layers and I was building it in 295 still, and having the ability to click on a layer without showing it if it's hidden is something that was really yeah, it's here, it's new, and I wish I'd had it while I was building that, because it was quite frustrating. And where is that? I can't actually see the option. Ah, there we go. So with that option ticked, so I'm going to go back to the array deep dive object to give you a demonstration here. So for example, if I wanted to hide so this layer is not hidden. Let me pick one that's got something on. There you are. So this layer is currently visible. Now it's hidden. Previously in Fusion, if you clicked on this layer that was hidden, it would re-show the layer over here. Now, ta-da, you can actually click on it and it doesn't show it. It's just very helpful because when you're putting stuff on lots of complicated layers in your projects, it could get quite frustrating having to re-hide things all the time, and it can also make it quite hard to see what you're working on if it then obscures something that you had hidden the layer to make visible. You would, of course, dropping new objects onto or creating an object. So if I insert an object here and an active, of course, because this is hidden, you now won't see it. So it's something to be aware of. But of course, it's there if you unhide the layer. So I absolutely love that one. Thank you, Eve. That will make my life a lot better. Where shall we look now? The frame editor, Eve has done a lot of work and made the actual display and refresh of this a lot faster, which is great. In the event editor, we have a select group dialog box. Not quite sure where that one is. Let's have a look. I'm assuming it's under groups. Ah, here we are. Okay, so if you're working on something with groups, traditionally you had to select the group that was there in your project that you wanted to manipulate. As you can see now, we have a brand new interface for this. And in addition to being able to pick up here, you can actually type in step 3, for example, and that would allow you to select it in that way rather than just clicking there. If you've got very, very long lists of groups, which a lot of people do, especially nested groups, subgroups, subgroups, this if you can remember the name of your groups, it means you can just type it in, which is really, really, really helpful. And next, we have in the event list editor, when you actually click an object icon, it's now, I may not be clicking on the right thing there. Event list editor, it would help if I went to the event list editor. Right, there we go. If you click on the objects in the event list editor, as you can see, it's actually showing their properties here now, which is something that it didn't do before. You had to go back up into the tree up here and select them that way. So when you're in this view, which is my preferred way of programming in Fusion, that lets you work with the objects just by simply selecting them, which is really, really good time saver. So 2.5 plus DLC feature in the event list editor. When you insert a new action, when you go into the menu to insert, the lines are now hidden for parent events without actions. So the add new action entry allows you to add new actions to these events. Sorry, I think I slightly garbled that. Apologies. Some of these I chose ones that I looked at earlier, and then I've picked different ones to talk about with you tonight. Apologies if I'm a little bit slow. Event list editor. The enter key is now handled like a double click. So I guess if brilliant. So I just selected the this object here, pressed enter, and it's brought up the expression editor for that expression and action, which is brilliant because obviously if you like programming with the keyboard, you can shuttle through with the mouse and then pick lines and shuttle through with the keyboard, pick lines and then press enter to open up the actual event line. Very much faster. Can you use an expression for the group name? No, at the moment it's just a typed name. I'm not sure if that's something Eve could look at, but I will mention that to him. Thank you, Jay Tholen. In the event editor, remember to switch back to it this time. You'll notice a bit more differentiation here this time. I'm just going to minimize the output window a bit more there. So if we have nested, let's put another group there, for example. You can see that the visibility, the clarity of the nested tree is a lot clearer, and put another one in there just to highlight. So before it was quite light and the indents weren't as sharp. As you can see now, we've got a much clearer structure there, and this also obviously applies to child events if you've got the Fusion 2.5 plus DLC, which allows you to add child events to parents. What should we look at next? Data element editor. Okay, that's cool. Apparently the data elements editor, which is here, I don't have any sounds loaded in here, but you can now drag and drop sound files to the sound list to directly replace sounds here with the same name. So rather than having to click and replace, sorry, move that over, click on the sound there and then replace and keep doing that in your list, you could have an Explorer window open and just keep dragging the new files that you want to put in there. So if you're updating your sounds or music, that's really a nice time-saving, quality of life improvement. So I'm going to leave that there for now. And thank you very much, Eve. We are still working on 296. There are a few issues that Eve's got to iron out. It will be out very soon, but we'll publish the changelog on our Patreon, so you can check that out. And hopefully it will be out soon. Obviously, keep watching our socials. Keep watching. Oh, list indent in the list editor. Those aren't reflecting that, so I'm not sure if that's meant to or not. I will check that with Eve. Thank you for that question, Kid Karate. So yes, we'll keep watching our socials, keep watching our Facebook page in particular. We've got a lot of news there, but also our Twitter and various other things. But also do join our Discord. You can now search for us in the Discord directory if you just type, I think Clickteam will bring it up, but also click Converse, you'll find us there. Okay, so I'm now going to show you a trailer for Mongrel.
When there be problem, there be money to be made. Though mine body be washed, it still reeketh. newfangled by me. Indubitably. Most indubitably.
You've done well, Finch.
It's in trouble! I have!
So that was Mongrel, which is available on Steam. Sorry, and I'm terrified by how close that was to my nightmare last night. Anyway, moving on, we have the AMA. Thank you very much for submitting all your questions on our Discord. We've got a new channel area for asking questions where people can vote on what you've submitted, and we answer the best ones by vote. As it happens, we thought for the first one, we've obviously gone and answered everything we possibly could, including loads of Clickteam Fusion 3 questions, which I wasn't expecting. So I'm going to start. Forgive me, I'm reading off a sheet here. We have 6 pages of your questions to answer here. So I'm afraid I don't remember who has asked each of these. Apologies, but thank you for your submissions. First question. Why are there times when Clickteam goes to sleep for a month or longer? I wish I slept that long. So as a small company, we realize that sometimes we aren't giving you a steady stream of information. Our new Fusion 3 blog posts are all on Patreon, so we're starting to give out more information about that. We're obviously doing more live streams, and we'll be looking at a podcasting project, talking about Fusion and Clickteam, but also the wider industry and things like artificial intelligence and debating the pros and cons of using that and interesting things like this. So we're really trying to step up the communication there, and it's not something we've been brilliant at before, but we're really trying to do better. And I'm a community manager now, so I'm trying to be online a lot more. I do answer questions in the middle of the night, even though I should be asleep. But yeah, it's something we're really working on, and we've taken your feedback on board, and we hope you can see the improvement, including these monthly streams. So do make sure to check in the next one, which I've written down here, 18th of July, 3rd Fridays of each month, and it will always be at these times, so 7 p.m. GMT, and at the moment, daylight savings wise, 8 p.m. in London, 9 p.m. in most of Europe, 3 p.m. I think in New York, and an unfortunate 5 in the morning for our Australian viewers there. Okay, question number 2. Have you considered reviving the name Click and Play for anything? I think it's nostalgic and still holds some brand recognition value, and it's simply fun to say. Well, as we heard from our interview with Mig there, that's where he started, and so did my brother and I. So Eve says, yes, we have. We have recently considered several initiatives, including making the original available, possibly. Let us know your thoughts. So when we come to do our next AMA, you could send us some more questions about that and give us some ideas. Next question. Are there plans to continue supporting Fusion 2.5 after the release of Fusion 3? Yes. Fusion 3 is going to be a brand new product. It will stand on its own. It's not designed to kick Fusion 2.5 out of existence at all. So we don't know exactly how long. It will probably depend on demand and sales, but for probably several years at least, we intend to keep supporting 2.5 with new build updates, new features. So yeah, don't worry, Fusion 2.5 is staying if you don't want to move up to Fusion 3. Will there be updates for the exporters? Eve says the new 296 update includes changes and improvements to all of the exporters. And I do have very, very, very long, lots of pages of a changelog, which, as I said, we'll upload to our we'll upload to Discord as well, but our Patreon. So make sure to check it out there, and the Fusion 3 blog while you're there. Is it currently known how well, on average, Clickteam's console port process for Fusion 2.5 games handles running on Switch 2's backwards compatibility capabilities? That's a bit of a tongue twister. Eve says a large majority of made with Fusion titles on Switch run well on Switch 2. A few run even better. We've had perhaps 3 reports of flashing screen occasionally on a few select titles. It's a Switch 2 OS issue that Nintendo will resolve, as some of their first-party titles suffer from it as well. So it looks like good compatibility and speed there. Fusion 2.5 or otherwise, can we get updated info/templates on how to make our own extensions in Fusion? Most of us are non-coders, so having a template or tutorial to mess with would be a huge help and might take a load off Clickteam's minds if the right tinkerers come around. So there are lots of extension examples available on GitHub from various developers, including Phi. Sorry if I've said that wrong. Phi, Defisim, etc. This should help, but we can definitely post some links to those on our Discord, and we'll get them added to Patreon as well, just to help you find them. Who at Clickteam implemented physics objects in Fusion, and can they fix or improve them? Francois Lyonnais, who is no longer with the company, he actually implemented the physics objects, and at the moment, it's quite a tricky thing to update. There are a lot of issues which Francois' genius managed to overcome them when he was working on them originally. So we are looking at how to do this, but it's a complex process, so it may take a little while. This may be a stupid question, but will Fusion 2.5 developers or Fusion 3 developers ever be able to self-publish their console games, assuming they have access to Xbox publishing, PlayStation partners, Nintendo Switch dev access, etc.? Now that I'm a PlayStation partner, I would really like to self-publish and port a Fusion title of mine to PS5 in the future, but I'm not sure if that's ever going to be possible. And you can self-publish now. Currently, we provide console conversion services to the developer or a publisher. So you can go through our services to do that, but not yourself. And a lot of people wonder why, but there are actually a lot of complications, a lot of steps, things that you have to meet legal-wise that Nintendo and Microsoft, for example, really insist upon. And it's a lot of complexity for the average developer. So it's actually something that it's the reason why we have this service, to help smooth that process. And also we have the expertise working with those partners to make sure that we can get the game running as it needs and handle the various issues. So definitely, again, you saw our pro services trailer, which I'll play again after the AMA here, and that really helps to port things and work with your games. So if you'd like to get in touch, go to service.clickteam.com and select professional services when you open a ticket there. Are there plans to continue supporting 2.5? Oh, we've answered that one. There we go. Will Fusion 3 include any new features or improvements to the event system that help with keeping projects more organized? I know it's already possible to stay organized with current tools, but I'm curious if there are plans to enhance this further in Fusion 3. Fusion 3 allows you to make your own objects, like in Fusion 2.5, where you've had actions and conditions and expressions that you can put. Apologies, I've misread. Like in Fusion 2.5, where you had behaviors, i.e. private events to the object, this is expanded very much on in Fusion 3. So you can add custom actions, conditions, and expressions to objects to essentially turn them into your own extension. And that's without having to use C++ or something like that to code an extension. And this makes it much easier to move a lot of functionality that would otherwise clutter up your event editor into your own objects. So, for example, if you have 100 lines of code which deal with updating player permissions, player positions in an RPG game, like we're moving troops around or something, moving troops around, you could create your own evented extension object specifically to deal with those things, and you might have inputs to that being a list of the objects that you want to move. You then pass that to it, and it can then move all of those. And in that way, you can compact down the. Yep, Linky's saying that. That's exactly what we're adding. So you can compact down your code into more manageable objects. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very, very powerful feature of Fusion 3, that. Are multi-platform exports going to be using Android Studio and or Xcode projects, or will they build fully standalone? It will be a choice each developer can decide on for each project based on what functionality they need or want to use. Our goal for a Fusion 3 project to be convenient, centralized. Our goal is for a Fusion 3 project to be convenient, centralized location to manage everything for all the platforms developers want to target, but we don't want that to be a bottleneck or point of restriction. Will Fusion 3 include more advanced viewport features to easily allow split screen? Do apologize, put my teeth back in. To allow third time's the charm, split screen, viewport zoom, rotations, etc. Yes. To what extent will Fusion 2.5 projects be convertible to Fusion 3 projects? We have basic support for this currently, but considering how many different 2.5 extensions there are, it will take some time to add all of the conversions for everything to Fusion 3's new way of doing things. However, as we talked about just a moment ago there with the evented objects, you may well be able to create your own drop-in replacements in Fusion 3, which will allow you to overcome some of those incompatibilities from missing extensions. Will Fusion 3 have JSON structure or any Git-friendly alternative? Also, yes, which will, of course, make working in a team a lot easier, and repo management and stuff is obviously going to be much more integrated and possible with Fusion 3 than as has been before with our tools. Will Fusion 3 include some easy, good, and powerful tiling engine? We don't have anything planned at the moment. I think it could be done as an extension, but it's not a priority to have as a core feature. We will, however, have all the improvements in F3 make it easier to implement such a thing yourself. And that could include making your own extension with actions, conditions, and expressions and properties. I'm going to do a demonstration of how to make an array level drawing system shortly after this, but that's something you could actually build into your own extension, and you could possibly create compatibility for other existing tile-based editors. There are quite a lot of tools out there people like to use. I have quite an unpopular opinion about the object selection in Fusion. I actually think it's pretty good and powerful, way simpler than people tend to think. It's mainly misunderstood due to a lack of documentation and good learning resources about it. It was said it's going to be changed in Fusion 3, but by how much? I hope the filtering, picking philosophy still exists, but just refined, not a completely different system. We're working on enhancing the object selection functionality by giving more control and clarity over how it flows through each condition. There are some changes to the order of how actions are processed on multiple instances. In Fusion 2.5, the actions for additional instances would be pushed to the end of the action list, which means that certain things could happen out of order. In Fusion 3, they will happen a lot more predictably. We're not even, that's a third of the way through there, lots to go. What physics engine will Fusion 3 use? In Fusion, it's an old version of Box 2D, so will it be Box 2D, 3 for the new engine. We're working on upgrading from Box 2D 2 to Box 2D 3, but we also want to make sure that people will still be able to plug in other physics engines if they want. Will Fusion 3 have an animation editor with advanced features like other engines? Think of bone editor, keyframes, layers, etc. We have some preliminary experiments with bone animations, but they are not really ready for prime time at the moment. Under the hood, the engine supports keyframed animations for a variety of things. I suspect they could be leveraged by an extension or a future update to allow for certain animations of this sort. There are, however, a lot of different competing 2D bone animation systems out there that could be imported. If, for example, a spine animation object were to be implemented, then editing the object could open up the third-party spine editor. Cool. Once you save the animation, it will be updated in your project. What should we expect from the built-in debugging tools of Fusion 3? Will it have call stacks, better data overview and editing, breakpoints, etc.? We're working on adding more advanced debugging functionality like this to the Fusion 3 editor, and we would like to support it with remote debugging too, including on consoles. It's a complicated feature to support though, so it's going to take some time to fully implement. And as with a lot of things, Fusion 3 will launch with a broad core set of features, but some of them will still continue to evolve after launch, and this may be one of those. In a Fusion 3 blog post, custom actions, conditions, and expressions were discussed, but what about custom properties, which Linky just asked about earlier there? Or are values technically still the same thing? Like, will it still allow for combo boxes, sliders, color pickers, buttons, etc.? Custom properties are basically the replacement for alterable values. All of our properties we use internally can have optional hints on how to modify them best. This would be very easy to allow the user to set as well. For example, the angle property is a float, a decimal number. In practice, the value can be any value, but for the sake of making it easy to use in the property tree, we made it into a slider that has a range from 0 to 360 degrees. It would be interesting to hear user feedback on which UI controls they would like to see for modifying some basic types. What can we expect from the Fusion 3 SDK? The main problems with the current SDK are it's very old-fashioned, undocumented, and communicates with the internal data and functions of the runtime/editor directly. No cleaner APIs and wrappers were implemented, not to mention every extension needed to be written in the language native to the platform. This is why forks like Dark-edif exist. So will such things be improved, and most importantly, will it give us more control over the editor itself? For now, we're using C++ 17 as a baseline for all target platforms, and code quality is a high priority for us. Some platforms, e.g. Apple and browsers, still require using other languages to access certain functionality, but the vast majority of tasks can be accomplished in Fusion 3 events or C++. Controlling the Fusion 3 editor itself is something we're still exploring our options with. Most of our focus has been so far on the functionality for the resulting apps and games. The sound engine in Fusion is pretty basic. In what areas will Fusion 3 improve on this? Similar to graphics, audio is an area where each platform does things quite differently, so we're still evaluating our options in this area. At the very least, we'll be supporting all the same functionality as Fusion 2.5, but we would like to add functionality such as audio effects and positional audio. Some platforms support this natively, while other platforms require implementing it manually, so finding a good way to expose this in a uniform way in the Fusion 3 editor poses its own challenges. One thing we experimented with was allowing sounds to be basic objects that you could move around and attach to other objects. That way you could leverage positional audio and then very easily allow for the sound to automatically stop if the owner object was destroyed. Will we still be able to choose the rendering pipeline like we can with current Fusion, for example, between DirectX, OpenGL, or Vulkan, or is it going to be OpenGL only? And if so, will runtimes like iOS get an exception to use Metal instead? We recently switched to a different rendering backend that allows choosing which underlying graphics API to use. The choice can be made dynamically at application start or restart, so it could be presented as an option in games or launchers. Shader effects are compiled for each different format as needed by each different graphics API. Can we expect built-in support for basic 3D features? They can be useful for 2.5D games or 2D games with 3D effects and elements. 3D is a big can of worms, as it's an ever-expanding topic. The engine itself is prepared for 3D in some sense, as all coordinates in Fusion 3 can exist in a 3D space. We don't do typical 3D engine functionality like shadows or 3D collision detection. Excuse me. Fusion 3 is in itself still a 2D engine, but we allow certain things to extend into 3D space. There will obviously be a lot more to watch on that as it develops. Will documentation for Fusion 3, whether an included manual or stuff on the website, include links to modern, high-quality, free resources that exist in this day and age, such as free visual assets, free software for making graphics and music and sound, etc., and things like this to help newcomers better learn what software exists to possibly suit their needs that the engine isn't really geared to make up on its own. I think linking to third-party resources is perhaps not something we should do from the documentation. That said, some resources page on the website might link to other useful websites. If anyone saw earlier the interview with Danny, who's developing our new services, you'll have noticed that there's quite a lot of work gone into finding resources and searching on the new system. So I think that will really cover what you're asking there a lot more. So, for example, you would just type in Tile Editor or Bone Editor or music creation, something like that, and we could link there to lots of tools and things that you could try to use. Will we get a new joystick / gamepad object that will have automatic will have automatic gamepad detection and not have to code your own engine? I wish we could just have it worked out like when you disconnect player 2 or 3 and plug it in, that controls are not messed up where player 1 has player 3's buttons and so on. It's been a nightmare. A unified game input system is a very high priority for us, and we are actively working on having high quality first-class support for this in the Fusion 3 editor and runtime. Will Fusion 3 just support 2D, or will 3D be an option for game projects? So a bit of an expansion on the earlier question. 3D, as in 3D games, is not the primary focus of Fusion 3. We prepared the engine to be extensible, and we can allow certain things to exist in the 3D space without issue, as we said. I imagine that it would be possible to make a semi-3D isometric game where you populate the scene with 3D items. Under the hood, they would still be governed by the 2D nature of Fusion 3 when it comes to things like collision detection. Certain features like shadows would have to be implemented by the user unless we somehow make a dedicated feature for it, or if there's popular demand. So whilst that might not be what you're hoping to hear, I hope the message is coming across that Fusion 3 is being developed not to repeat the choices we made with past products where you get locked into a certain for example, with the physics objects that we're now having some trouble updating and extending. Fusion 3 has been written from the ground up to be very, very flexible. We don't know exactly where we might take it in the future. It may be that we add 3D at some point if there is demand for it, but at launch, no, that won't be there. Since there are a couple of standard effect transitions that don't seem to work, the ones you can choose in the Actives property panel, my question, will they be fixed on the new 296 build or completely written in Fusion 3, rewritten? Transitions will be much more customizable customizable in Fusion 3. They can be evented yourself, and you can use pixel shaders for them if you so wish. This makes them much more powerful than in Fusion 2.5. That was answered by the Fusion 3 team there, but I don't remember reading that in the changelog. We can check that. Small question. Will Fusion 3 support GIF importing? It hasn't been a priority. Right now, we are only using PNG files as they are lossless, compact in size, and allow for alpha channels. GIF animations are more geared towards low color animations, obviously only with 1-bit transparency. If they can be imported in the animation editor, they would probably get turned into separate files and stored as PNG. There are, of course, lots and lots of tools around on the web and so on where you can convert these things now. I don't know if we'll support a PNG, animated PNGs. That might be a way to look at that. Maybe a stupid question, but will Fusion 2.5 developers or Fusion 3 devs ever be able to self-publish their console games, assuming they have access to Xbox? Did we not answer that one? We did. That's in there twice for some reason, apologies. Will there be a Linux version of the editor? Yes, and Mac as well. Anna's is working on Fusion 3 on a Mac, and it's also being worked on Windows platform as well, but it's been built in such a way that we can port it to those other platforms. Will Delta Time be natively implemented in Fusion 3 for stuff like physics objects, player movement, etc.? Yes, this is already implemented. We currently support various methods. By default, it will use Delta Time, so no matter the frame rate, objects will move at the same speed. If, however, one needs, you can change the runtime with a fixed Delta Time for more predictable results. Will Fusion 3 keep the focus on multimedia and not stick with just games? Making tools and apps using Fusion is great, and better UI elements would be welcome. Yes, the Fusion 3 editor itself is actually made using the same technology that will power your eventual games that you create. As such, we have a bunch of UI elements that are already implemented to bring you the Fusion 3 interface, and we're working on new ones, but the power of the engine to create what you use to create your apps is basically, it's by design, it's part of the DNA of Fusion 3. Can we expect better support for stuff like inverse kinematics, procedural animation, bones, etc.? Referencing the other question about this, inbuilt support for this is probably not going to be in the first version. Extensions that import third-party animation systems like Spine should be very doable, possibly even using Fusion 3's evented object creation. Fusion 3 allows for users to make their own objects and bundle them as a single reusable object, and this could perhaps fill the gap until this becomes available. So you might create your own extension where you bundle something like a string parser and a string object into one object that you then extend with your own functionality. So you might have an object that you just send a comma separated variable list to, and then it automatically dumps a string where you asked it to with coordinates and does all of the magic for you. So there's a lot of power in the evented extension system. Will Fusion 3 have no RAM limitation? Fusion 3 is currently 64-bit only for both the editor and resulting apps and games. So it will have the same memory constraints as any other 64-bit application, which is obviously very high. Note, however, that if you would like to create games for Nintendo Switch 1, you would still have to be cognizant of the hardware memory constraints of that platform. And as with publishing games for mobiles or HTML5 web stuff, you obviously have to tailor what you do to make sure that you don't overload those systems, memory availability, and so on. Will we receive Android, iOS, web, Mac, maybe Linux, Windows 10/11/more versions free if we get Fusion 3 paid? Pricing and structure are yet to be determined. We don't have a solid answer to this at the moment because we're exploring a lot of options. Obviously, the model of subscription is not a very popular one, and we're very keen to listen to our users and do the best for you. So there will be more information nearer the time of launch. Will we receive all extensions free for Fusion 2.5 in Fusion 3? There are a very large number of extensions in Fusion 2.5, and many will be obsolete or replaced by alternative ways of doing things in Fusion 3. Fusion 3 uses a radically different architecture for extensibility as well, so this is not a question that can be directly answered. Stay tuned for more communications about Fusion 3. Make sure to check out our Fusion 3 blog on our Patreon. What will Fusion 3 look like? Again, go and have a look at our Patreon. We've got quite a few screenshots there and showing off how the interface looks. And you don't have to have an account to view that. How will it function? At a minimum, all of the major functionality of Fusion 2.5 will be included in Fusion 3. Although, as we've said, there may be slightly different ways of achieving things in Fusion 3 that you could also achieve in Fusion 2.5. How fast will it perform? We expect performance to be noticeably better than Fusion 2.5 in most scenarios. How will you ensure that the files won't get reverse engineered by intelligent people like so many older games before it? Fusion 3 projects are in fact compiled to native machine code, and that is not impenetrable. No code ever is completely safe, but it is significantly many orders of magnitude harder to do that, and it takes a lot of expertise to do. So games will be very much more protected in that sense. And finally, page 6 of questions, the last one. What will the approach to HTML5 be? I know blog posts from around 2017 mentioned Emscripten being used for web publishing. Is this still the preferred method? And if so, that means running under WebAssembly. Yes. If not, what other method has been chosen for HTML5 exports? Web technology continues to evolve at a rapid pace, and so plans may change again, of course. But currently we're looking to WebAssembly and WebGPU, among others, so use of JavaScript will be minimal. And that could obviously have a lot of implication for more performant HTML5 applications. So, my throat has dried out completely. So, thankfully, I have a trailer to show you to give me a chance to drink without you having to watch me. This is a trailer for NoLife. That was NoLife. And now we're going to move on to our final feature for this stream, which is showing you how to create an array-based level drawing system. It's a very simple example I'll give you, and I'm just going to switch to my desktop here and Fusion. So I'm hoping this plays nice in 296. I'll just get that as big as I can get it for you there. So, I'm going to close down these existing ones. I'm noticing in 296 actually that a lot more keys respond directly to like yes and no prompts and escape and things, which is really good. Definitely a quality of life improvement there. And ClickMan. So, I don't know how well this is going to display now because my screen's not showing things quite the right size, but let's give it a go. Great. that was another feature noticed in the build 296, that the flat file format is now the standard choice to prevent situations like this. I'm actually going to switch back to build 296. Sorry, 295 if it lets me. Looks like the virus checker has decided to eat it. Well, now you tell me. Okay, so let's bring up Fusion. Sorry about that. Just have a quick check through there. Thanks for answering all the questions. It looks like you've made some great design decisions for Fusion 3. Yeah, it's going to be epic. It's a really, really amazing development. You're going to be very, very happy with how it's come out. But thank you very much, everyone, for submitting all those questions. We are going to do it again. Maybe not next month. I'm not sure my voice will have recovered by then, but we'll see. Yeah. Don't forget, if you'd like to submit questions or join our community on Discord, just search for ClickConverse or Clickteam on the Discord directory. We've also got some links on our forum at the moment, and the new web systems will obviously link to all of that as well. Just bring up this here to make sure I can see everything I'm doing. Excellent. Right, so I'm just going to load back in QuickMan here. So it's really loud, sorry. Okay, it's not letting me show you all of this. I might be able to fix that. Bear with me. I'm having fun and games with my new computer. After the old one blew up, all the DPI stuff is all over the shop. I'm really struggling to get everything to come in at the right resolution. Hopefully that fixed it. Right, we just about see that. So, right, there we go. So I haven't quite finished the engine for this one. That will be available shortly. This is just a standard. Let me just make that a little bit quieter there. Yeah, it's just a standard PacMan engine, and you'll be able to download this and oh, I apparently can't control the game. You'll be able to extend it and make your own PacMan game if you like. So at the moment, this is all done. No, I'm clicking on my streaming app instead of the actual Fusion window. This is all done in the traditional way by laying out walls and dots and all of these elements in a frame editor. Most people work in this way. I'm going to show you how to actually do an array based version of this. So what I've already done here in this layout is give each object an alterable string called item name. Every one of these objects that I'm going to want to place down has got a name. This one is wall. These ones are no entry. These ones are ghost wall, dot, power up, and so on. So all of those objects have those names in them. And I've done that so that I can actually create an array from this. So effectively, this is turning this into a level editor so that you can lay out your frame, your level here, and then save it out as an array. So I'll just show you how I've done that. I've actually just done a simple function. So at the start of frame, I've started a loop for each one of this group. So I've given a qualifier called engine to all of those objects, the wall, the dots, the ghost wall, everything. They've all got that qualifier. So this is asking Fusion to run a loop for every single one of those called getArray. And I've also added an array object here to debugger just so that I can see that things were working. And this is the actual loop running here called getArray. So for every single object, this line runs, and all I'm doing is in the array, I'm writing the item name string, which you saw just now, to an X and a Y position. So this is a two-dimensional array storing in a grid. So what I've done is the X position of that object, and I've divided it by a value which is in my globals here called, where is it? Tile width. And I also have tile height. They're both 45, but this allows for different sizes. So by taking the X position and dividing it by the tile width, it gives you the grid number reference. So, for example, 90 divided by 45 would give you 2. And I've also done the same here to get the Y. So we are writing a string to X and Y position, and it's the item name. And if you save too quickly after this, I noticed Fusion tends to not save the entire array. So I just have a timer equals 5 seconds, then save the array file. So if I were to run this now, sorry for the noise. Now if I go to the debugger, and hopefully you can all see the debugger, just check. Yep. So if I go to the debugger here, I've got the array object in here. Let's move that out of the way. And I can actually take a look, double click here to display or edit a value. So as you can see, this it's a one-dimensioned array. You can see that there, it's telling you a 1. Because we're not doing a 3D array, there's only one Z. It technically means it's 2D. If I were to ask for position 1 by 1, that goes to here, which is power up. If I did 2 by 1, it's dot. And if I were to go down 1, 2 by 2, you'd see wall. So in this way, every single item here has been represented in the array with the name that's stored in that active object as a string. And those are now saved to an array file. And what we're going to do on the next screen is, if I actually remember to click in the right place, there we go. We're going to clone this frame here and call that one array engine instead. So I'm just going to delete all of the code from here for the moment because none of that's actually needed here just while we're doing this demonstration. So on this frame, we've obviously got a lot of objects here already. I'm just going to do a start condition and just delete those just so that they all vanish using the qualifier group.engine. And I can just do no, sorry. Let's select. My brain is tired. On started frame. And then action and destroy. So if I run that frame now, you'll see that we've obviously got a blank frame with nothing on it. So I'm also in this same group. I'm going to add a new action and I'm going to go to the array object. Now, just to show you a bit more about these actions and conditions and also later some expressions, when we're using the array, we can either write to the array or read from it in an expression. So that's obviously not here under the actions. And as you can see, they're very simple. Write to X for a one-dimensional, XY for a two-dimensional, or XYZ for a three-dimensional. And you have the option of writing a value, or you have the option of writing a string. You can also write to the current position, and that is changed by these actions. And you can also expand the size of your array if you want to. So if, for example, you had a level editor where you have a basic map of 10 by 10, you could also add extra size to it if a user typed in a number to make a larger grid design. Fusion does actually expand automatically if you enter something into a position that doesn't currently exist in the array. So if you had a 5 by 5 array and you tried to write to position 6 by 6, Fusion would then expand it so that that is a 6x6 two-dimensional array. When we talk about dimension, again, it is just the number of values. So X dimension is the number of columns wide, Y is the number of rows tall, and Z is the number of copies back and back and back of that grid. In this occasion, we're going to load the array file. I'm going to use a selector. No, I'm not. I'm going to use a predefined thing because I know where it is already. And that is stored in here, hopefully. Well, let me just go back to my first frame and see where I actually saved that file. May 2012, ClickMan. Right, was in the wrong folder. So we're going to load that on in. Oops. There we go. Level 1.array. So that entire PacMan screen that you saw there, even using strings, which do make an array object larger, you could have represented a wall, as I showed in the earlier example, with 1 and a dot with 2, and done it that way as a number-based array, which uses a lot less data. However, I decided this way for this demonstration, just so it was easier for everyone to see what I was saving in and make it less abstract. So we're going to load that level array in there. And next, I'm going to do on start a frame, and I'm going to start a loop. And I'm going to call it draw and Y. Because we're using a two-dimensional array here, we want to draw each item out in columns, but they are stored in rows. So I'm going to start looping through all of the rows, the Y index, and for each one of those, I'm going to start another loop, which is the size of the X parts of each line. So I'm going to get the Y dimension for the array. So that will now start an array, a loop, the number of Y entries there are in the array. And on that loop, I'm then going to start another loop. So I'll just copy that down here. And I'm going to start X. And I'm going to do that by the X dimension. So if you had a 10 by 10 array, it would run the Y loop 10 times, and each Y loop would run the X loop 10 times. And in that way, we can read what's in each cell of the array, and we can then take actions to draw from that. So this loop now, we need to actually do something. So we could do a test for, let's draw out the walls first. So I'm going to insert, and I'm going to compare two general values. I could just as easily read a value out of the array, but I'll do it this way, just so you can see some more of the actions, the expressions on the array object. So on the array object, we're going to look at the X and Y based data in there based on what the loop is telling us. So the very first time the loop will run, it will be 0 and 0 based on those loop indexes, which, as I said before, start at 0. So we're going to get the data from the array. So I'm going to read a string from the X and Y position here. And I have to give it the X and Y position. So I'm going to use the loop index and specify the X loop that we're running. So draw on X. And then for the Y, the other loop, draw Y. So for every, oops, that's my bad there, got ahead of myself. we've got the brackets around loop index. What have I done wrong? Where? Let me just enter that again so that I overcome that. I keep doing this today. I'm very, very tired. Please be gentle. Right, start that one again. So, read string from XY position. X is loop index for X, and the Y is loop index draw Y, which will hopefully be right. Oh, okay, really obvious. I don't have a string down here yet. That's why it's giving me an error. So I'm going to look first of all for the wall objects. So hundreds of pieces of paper flying around in front of my fan here. Bear with me. So I'm going to say wall. Just a tip there, if you ever notice this happen, green events are those in Fusion which run immediately, no matter where the event loop is. So if you see it go red, it means it's been moved from the top position. You now see it's green. If it's red, it won't run instantly. There are a few instances where you might want to use that, but generally an immediate action such as a loop or mouse is clicked or touchscreen event happens, that sort of thing, you all want to make sure that they are on the top line so that they're green. So we've got our draw X loop and we've got a check to see if it says wall. So what I'm going to just do here is a very quick one and show you that it's working. I'm going to send text to the debugger window and just say wall at, and then I'm going to do the string of the loop index. Oops, draw X. Oh, would help if I put that in right. And then I'm going to put a comma and then string of the Y index, which we're getting again from the X and Y loops that I'm running here. What have I done wrong? Again. String. Oh, I've missed a bracket there. There we go. So if I run that now, we will get in the debugger window a long string of all the coordinates where the wall object is. And as you can see, that's come out exactly like that. So to make that more useful, we're going to do an object creation instead. So I'm replacing that debugger. Actually, I'll leave it there. We'll just, then we can see what it's doing. So I'm going to create a new object and I'm going to use the create object at, which is quite a handy one. And because this is a wall, there's my wall object. And I'm going to create it at, now I want the loop index, which starts at 0, as do the coordinates in the frame. So all I need to do is the draw X, and I need to multiply it by that global value I mentioned earlier, which is tile width. I've been typing wife instead of width all day long. It's taken me a lot of time to get over that. I'm going to copy that and paste with an adaptation into this one. So we want the Y loop and we want tile height for that one and layer 1. So now if I run it, you can see just like that, it has now drawn out all of the walls for the whole game. And that's all coming from that array file that was saved out. And we can now extend that. So we could copy that event and instead say this one, let's change that one to dot. And instead of creating that, we'll create the dot. And it's the same positions, nothing to change there. And same layer. So now if I run it, you can see it's drawn the dots. So I'm not going to go much further than that because I think you can see the concept from here. It's a very, very powerful way to draw up your levels. And because you're not having to have a single frame for every single level this way, as I said before, all of your code, all of your engine, everything that you need to make your game run can just sit in this one frame, and you can load in the data and draw up your levels based on that. And I'm actually working on a multi-use level editor with a widget object, which you can drop into your Fusion projects. It's going to be a couple of months yet, but I'm going to make it so that you can do some of the level editing functions that people were asking about for Fusion 3 there, actually. So that will be released soon. And I'm also working on a graphical array editor, because at the moment, obviously, you're either entering items into the array through actions, or you're using the frame editor, as I did in the previous frame, to store the position of all of the individual objects in the array with which type of object it was. So my visual editor will allow you to actually create an array as a grid and drop in the items that you need by number or text through your keyboard there. But the actual visual level editor, it will be a flexible one that can cope with levels of any size, linked levels, and all sorts of very cool features, including importing your own graphics and so on, for people who want to make really custom levels. So that's going to be released later in the year, and I'm going to make that free for everyone as well. So yeah, I hope you've learned something good about arrays here. I will make all of this code, including for the array presentation, available so you can have a look and see how it all works under the hood. And I'll leave what we've done here on this stream intact so you can also see that. But yeah, hopefully that will extend your game making horizons there a little bit. Another thing I might look at in a future example is in the previous frame, all of the movement was based on collision detection. It's a very, very old technique, but when you have this very structured layout of your events, layout of your objects on your game field, you can use the array, that is the grid, to do your movement detection and your collision detection. So, for example, if ClickMan was here at position, because this is 0 based, so that would be 1,1 here, that would be 0,0. So if ClickMan is here and you know he's at 2,2, and you press the left button to make him move left, you could actually look in the array and say, is there a wall at position not two, sorry, this is 1 by 1, and you could say, is there a wall at 0,1, and answer yes, and then not make the object move. And if you have very complicated layouts, like platform engines and all sorts, you can do a lot of optimizing by using this kind of an approach, rather than physically testing, is this graphic colliding with this graphic, which is a more costly process for CPUs. So I just saw a message from one of my colleagues saying, please set the volume to 0. Don't worry, it's gone. That was, I won't play the awful music again, which was downloaded from a website claiming to generate new versions of music. I asked it to make me a set of PacMan like tunes. Interesting. AI is not quite there yet, is it? Anyway, there we go. So that is everything I'm going to do there for now. And I'm going to show you now a trailer for POPGOES Arcade Flying Chance. That was POPGOES Arcade Fighting Chance. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Again, happy 4th of July to our American viewers. Thank you for bearing with us through these technical difficulties, and we will be back on the 18th of July, and look out for notices about what's coming up there. And again, thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and I shall finish with another reminder of the Steam sale. And don't forget, it's also matched on our Clickteam shops at shop.clickteam.com. Thank you very much. See you again soon.